Welcome to my World History Notes, where I read from the book that I wrote to teach homeschoolers world history. A Bible believer looks at world history, and it's a survey, very surface. It certainly is something you'll want to dig deeper into, learn more about these things. We're talking about World War II, which has just so much day by day. I like to post on Facebook. I've been posting on Facebook since 39, since 2019. 1939. I'm now in 1942. So I post on Facebook events of each day. Um, and I hope you'll be interested enough in world history to study these events um, and look at my other videos. And also, you can purchase my book if you want to on Lulu.com, Amazon.com, at the Bible Baptist Bookstore. So, and like I say, it's very surface. It's a survey, so you want to dig deeper into the events. I just hope that you'll have an opinion about world history as I do. Now, I'm a Bible believer, so I have a specific opinion and belief and conclusions I draw that are not secular. They're not based on, Roman Catholicism, Protestantism, Hinduism, Islam, atheism, agnostics. There's all kinds of isms, communism, whatever. Um, might have a specific conclusions. You don't have those conclusions. You won't draw them. But the thing that I'd like to see is that you study, even if you object or even offended by something I say, that you've studied it and you go, "This is why I don't agree with you." And I like that. So that's be a good thing. So let's begin. On September 3rd, Great Britain, this is 1939, Great Britain and France declared war on Germany. Other than that, they didn't do much else. Along Germany's western border, the two winners of World War I slowly mobilized behind the partial shelter of the great concrete steel turreted Maginot Line, an outmoded assortment of unconnected fortresses which were nothing more than relics of the past. Belgium and Holland foolishly maintained their neutrality. Britain sent its 400,000 strong expeditionary force across the Channel. On the German side of the Maginot Line, there was silence as mobile troops had been stripped of equipment to support the Polish invasion. At that moment, if Britain and France had invaded, Hitler's vision of conquest would have ended. Instead, they foolishly did nothing of importance, which in action was called the Sitzkrieg and phony war after Germany's successes. The Germans sunk a British passenger liner traveling from Liverpool to Montreal on the day Britain declared war. A U boat, German submarine U 30, accomplished the deaths of 112 civilians in this attack. Excuse me. On the 17th, the carrier HMS Courageous was sunk by U 29, in spite of the fact that it was escorted by four destroyers and on anti submarine duty. The German pocket battleship Graf Spee cruised the South Atlantic, capturing and sinking 9 British merchantmen from September to December 1939. In a memorable naval battle, the Graf Spee was damaged and then denied entry into neutral Uruguay's port of Montevideo as a large number of British ships converged on her. The captain of the damaged ship scuttled it rather than surrender. 3 days later, he committed suicide. The German U 47 sunk the HMS Royal Oak in a daring attack through submarine defenses. The mighty battleship went down in 2 minutes. Other German ships carried destruction deep into the Atlantic. In one episode, the HMS Rawalpindi sacrificed itself to slow down German ships so they could be engaged by stronger British ships, resulting in its destruction and the return of the German ships to their own port. Then, following the division of Poland, Russia wanted to prepare itself in case its powerful newfound, quote, friend of Germany decided to turn on it. Russia, under the ruse of offering to protect the Baltic states, invaded them for their own good, but of course with the permission of some terrified foreign ministers of those countries. Finland refused such help, and the Finnish Soviet War ensued until Finland's surrender in March of 1940. The great book about this war, A Frozen Hell, tells the story of the heroic Finnish stand against Soviet Russia. It cost Russia 250,000 killed, 10 times that of Finland to conquer the country. The term Molotov cocktail was a derisive term for a Finnish weapon consisting of a bottle filled with gas and stuffed with soap rags that were lit on fire. These were thrown against Soviet tanks. When Russian Foreign Minister Molotov said the planes bombing the Finnish cities were actually delivering food to starving people, the Finns called the bombs Molotov's breadbaskets. The Alco Corporation produced almost 500,000 Molotov cocktails, complete with packs of matches for the Finns to use against Soviet tanks. Germany, in February of 1940, then conquered Denmark and Norway. By early May, Britain and France, having missed a historic opportunity to prevent World War II from happening, Hitler had massed 2.5 million Germans along Germany's western borders. Wilhelm Keitel was Hitler's chief of staff. The opposing Allied forces, mostly French, consisted of 2 million men. The neutral Low Countries of Belgium and Holland had theoretical another million. But remember, they claimed neutrality. On May 10th, 1940, the Blitzkrieg or Lightning War began with a pre-dawn bombardment of all major Dutch and Belgian airfields. Now, as an aside, there's a lot of controversy about Blitzkrieg. Um, Whether or not it was even used as a term or thought of by the Germans, um, or whether or not it was more of a journalist created phrase, Blitzkrieg. There is some great books, especially German books, that were translated into English. I won't go into here that I've read that denied there was any such concept of Blitzkrieg, that things just sort of happened by chance and opportunities were taken advantage of, and what appears to be a deliberate lightning war, deliberate Blitzkrieg, was actually a series of accidents that went in the Germans' favor. So it is not. It is not Blitzkrieg. When you use that term, it's just like the Polish cavalry charging tanks. You want to look and see, is that something that is historically accurate, or is it something that maybe somebody made up to be to hyperbole? Okay. So anyway, we won't talk about that right now. But however, before we talk about, let's speak of something that happened in Poland. In May of 1940, under Stalin's orders, the NKVD, the secret police, murdered 4,000 Polish prisoners of war and buried them in the Katyn forest. Even the German Nazis, who were guilty of incredible atrocities, were appalled when it came to light. So we're going to go back to the Western Front. It's very interesting what happens. It's very complicated. And remember, we got to separate the journalistic hyperbole and things from the actual events on the ground. And I'm going to miss a lot of that. You probably might know more about this detail and go, yeah, well, that never happened, and this happened, and then that was a myth, and all, that kind of stuff. So we'll stop there and we'll pick it up next time. Thank you for listening. Take care.